Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Think and Grow Show, where we bring on other entrepreneurs that have big vision, big heart, are doing cool things in the community. And today I am bringing a gentleman by the name of Mike Newcomb with Building Bridges. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Hey, thank you. It's great. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, awesome. So, Mike, can you tell us a little bit about the mission and vision of the Building Bridges Recovery Center?
Yeah, sure. The really our goal, obviously, it's a homeless ministry, and most homeless ministries, focus on feeding a meal or taking coats or blankets or that type of thing, and we do that. But our main goal at Building Bridges is revitalization, where we want to see people that are on the street, those that have a desire to. Where they're able to get back into society, have a functioning job, have a vehicle, have a place to live, where they actually are recovered. I really treat it almost like an addict recovering, same type thing. We want to see them, totally restored and rehabilitated, and to be an active member of society.
That's incredible. Now, how did Building Bridges Recovery Center come to be, and what inspired its creation?
Well, Kenny Tomlinson, who is our founder, he goes to my church, and he came to me a couple years ago and just kind of shared with me his story. He had spent about 6 years, it had been some time past, but he had spent about 6 years homeless himself, lived on the street, and his life had been restored about 15 years when he brought
Wow.
me this story. But he had a desire to do something on the homeless ministry side of things, with our church. And of course, I was game because that's something that you don't have people. I can assure you, there's nobody standing in line at any church to start that ministry. It's a pretty grunt work type of ministry, and he's really done a great job of it.
That's incredible. What are, just out of curiosity, so the homeless ministry, what are some of the key programs and services that you guys offer over there?
Well, I'd say let me just tell you what we do bi-weekly, and then I can expand a little bit from that. So
Perfect.
we offer discipleship classes to those people. When you minister on the street, if you've ever done that, some of you listening today may have been to street ministries. It's not unusual when you give an altar call on the street to have tons of hands go up. People want to receive salvation. I'll equate it to prison ministry just a little bit. Often people's hands go up, they want to receive the Lord, but there's no discipleship that takes place. So our goal is to have that starting point to where we minister to these people in a way to say, okay, we're excited that you've made Jesus the Lord of your life, and we're excited that you're ready to turn over that new leaf. But now let us try to help walk you through what a new life really looks like. Let us help walk you through what it takes to get back on your feet again. So day in and day out, that is our main source of operation, is to just disciple these people. The homeless people that we minister to, many of them become members of our church here at Life Fellowship, and which has really been something new for this church. We're part of the Church of God denomination, and for this church, I bet not many homeless people had ever come here before. So
Wow.
it's really been neat to see the transformation in the homeless people, but also it's been good for our people too, to kind of get out of any type of religious mindset and realize that when you begin to minister to this group and you begin to disciple them, that's really when we begin to fulfill the Great Commission and do what Jesus called us to do.
Amazing. Are you saying Jesus didn't hang out with the good-looking, well-dressed
Yeah,
folks all
yeah.
the time?
Oh, sure, he did. But and listen, let me just say, my church, these are great people. But
Mm.
I think, all churches, particularly churches that have been around a long time, you can just get caught up in that mundane day to day. I go to
Absolutely.
church. type of ministry. It has nothing to do with them being bad people or anything. It,
Oh, for
it can
sure.
happen to all of us, on in our marriage, on our church, whatever it is. But I think this has just kind of brought a fresh look
Mm,
to our church of what ministry really
yeah.
is.
So I'm curious. I want to hang out there for a second, Mike. Whenever that started to happen, was your church aware of this nonprofit you were involved in, and were they anticipating some of these folks coming in, or did you have to kind of jump in
Yeah,
after the
yeah, they
fact and
were.
explain?
I began to share with them that, listen, guys, this is what we're doing. We're going to, we were really blessed that Kenny was someone, like he lived on the street. Obviously, he'll do a much better job at this than you or I either one would do, Brad, because he's
Oh, it's
familiar
great.
with the painstaking process of
Mm,
surviving in that environment. So,
wow.
and he has a passion for it too, where you and I would not have. I mean, it's just, when you've been there, you just have a greater passion for something.
Yeah,
And it's been, look, there's some learning curves along the way, but it's been really really fruitful. And I can still remember the service that I was able to baptize my first member that was a homeless person,
wow.
and just
Wow.
what joy that it brought me to be able to tell them, hey, listen, you may not feel like you have a family, but look out at the crowd. This is your
Unbelievable.
family. You have a church family.
Man, that's doing God's work right there. I love it. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's
That's
been great.
incredible. So could you share, Mike, maybe like a specific, besides Kenny, maybe like another specific success story? I know we talked about Kenny, but the individual that you baptized, or
Yes.
maybe another impactful moment that's occurred at the center.
Yeah. I guess one of the things that kind of sticks out in my mind is we had a gentleman named Ed, just a great guy. He lived on the street. I don't know how many years. Been on the street for quite a while. And 10 years, actually. I think he'd been on the street 10 years, homeless. And,
10 years.
he didn't have a job, didn't have transportation. And over the course of about a year's time, we were able to get him set up with a job, and he is actually right now he works at DFW Airport. He got a job and has been
Wow.
working at DFW for about 8 months. And he was able to get a vehicle, and we were able to purchase an RV and have it set up at a local RV park. So he has a home.
Unreal.
It's a lot of people live in RV parks nowadays, particularly in Dallas Fort Worth. You drive around a lot of these RVs, you see it's people actually living there. They're not just vacationing or camping. And
Yeah.
that sticks out to me quite a bit for him. And he attends our church regularly. I saw him Sunday, and he's been somebody that has been just consistent and faithful. And that's really important, for any ministry, because listen, it's ministry. So you've just got to go into it expecting that even though you pour yourself out to so many, there's a large percentage that won't reciprocate that, but so far, they'll fall off the wagon somewhere along the way. So when you see somebody like Eddie that really gets it, and listen, it hasn't been easy for him, but even through his ups and downs, he's consistent. He's still in church. Nobody's picking him up in a bus and bringing him to church. He's driving himself. And man, that just, to me, that's the payoff in this.
So what do you, I'm trying to imagine, like put myself in the shoes of Ed or some of these other homeless folks that you're helping. What do they think when they're approached and you guys are offering them help and trying to get them better?
Well, as you can imagine, there are people that desire to stay on the street. It's
Mm,
just it's a fact. It's a sad fact, but nevertheless, it is a fact. And we've learned not to push people. You can't make anybody do anything. We'll love them where they are. We'll serve them a meal when we serve meals. We do different outreaches where we do meals, on the street, or take blankets for them to stay warm at night, and we'll love them right where they are. And really, maybe not by name, but we have a what I would like to call a mentorship program, and that are the people that were willing to come with us to church and be involved in discipleship. It's a commitment on their behalf. That's kind of a first step. That we want to spend more time with you. We see that God has purpose in you. We see that you have value, you have potential, and if you'll allow us to, we want to help develop that. And so that's kind of that first step that we'll start bringing them to church. Hey, and just like I'll use it just like any job environment. I used to own my own business. Sometimes you just have to keep your eyes open. You notice sometimes people that have that desire and potential to go further.
Mhm.
And we really do try to keep an eye out for that. And if we see somebody that really has a desire to do better and make something, we want to capitalize on that. We want to be there, give them the resources that they need to be able to do that.
Love that. So you mentioned addiction earlier. I'm curious, for some of the specific addictions that people might come with, how do you tailor to their needs as they come in?
Um, well, the I will say the a lot of the people that we pick up, some of them here in Dallas Fort Worth, I'm sure it's different in every city, but some of them actually sleep at the center. Downtown they have a Salvation Army, I think, has the center there, and so forth. And so some of that vetting does go on, in that environment there, and as best it can. So that's kind of a first step. If we pick them up from the center, they're supposed to be clean as far as that goes, which helps us out. Now, listen, surely everybody must recognize that there's not a perfect system in a perfect world, and we're definitely in that environment. It's not perfect at all. So there are
Yeah.
challenges to that. And listen, you have to set some boundaries. If we have people that don't want to adhere to the guidelines that we set without going into detail about what all of those are, there may be there have been times when you say, listen, we'll still help you. We love you, but we're not able to bring you and be part of the mentorship program because there's a commitment.
Mm.
If you sign up to go to college somewhere, there's a certain amount of commitment on your part, or the school's going to say, "Hey, we're not going to be able to let you continue." And that doesn't happen very often, but you do have instances where you just have to love them as best you can for the point that they're at, but you can't allow them to take control of the situation, and because it becomes a detriment to those that are in the mentorship program and really want to go forward.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Mike. So how does the center engage with the local community and collaborate with other organizations?
They do well. There are many people that recognize that there is some structure down there for the homeless, to help them a little bit. So there are other organizations that utilize that. Matter of fact, we have one, the Art of Living is downtown, and they allow us to use their. They have a big kitchen there. They allow us to use their facility to go in and cook meals and stuff. So when we feed on the street, we don't have to go down there and cook on the street. We have a nice commercial kitchen that's right down there where everybody's staying that we're able to use. So I will say that in some respects, people do try to partner together. We have other churches. There are other churches that partner with building bridges. It's not just Life Fellowship, and there are other churches in the community that partner with us to help reach those homeless as well.
How can other people, someone listening here, let's say like wants to get involved or wants to help, how can they help support the work of Building Bridges Recovery Center?
Well, I'll tell you just one of the biggest, the most difficult things in today's world is to just get monthly donors.
Mm.
Right now, we're believing for 2024. We're believing that the Lord will supply us 50 people that will support for $100 a month. Uh, we are totally donation based.
Yeah.
Our founder, Kenny Thompson, he still works 50% of his time. He has to make a living for his family. I would love for him to be able to be in full time ministry.
Mm.
All the money that we raise goes directly into the ministry to the homeless. And so we're really believing that God will open that door for donors to just say, "Hey, look, I can't give 100, but I can give $50. I can give $50 a month. That's just a touch over $10 a week." So
Yeah.
that's not a lot when you really, and that's a tax deductible donation. So we're just really believing that this year we've been in operation about 2 years. And
Okay.
we're believing that this year God's going to really give us uh, that financial miracle to allow us to push further, on what we can do. And, our end game, we want to have a full-time discipleship home where
Mhm.
there's not a really good system in place when uh, there are some there are some social structures set up within the local governments to where somebody can get off the street and they can eventually get an apartment. A lot of times they can get an apartment before they even have a job.
Wow.
That doesn't work real well,
Yeah.
as you
Yeah.
as you can imagine.
Chicken or the egg?
Not yeah. It's really crazy. The system is broken. I want to, the system is broken, and our desire would be to have a discipleship home where those people in that mentorship program, we could house them, you know, for 6 months, a year, whatever, and get them completely on their feet. And I think it would enable us to, you know, set them out in society on much more stable ground if we were able to have them and really mold them for a little while. And, we're doing the best we can do with what we've got now. I'm believing that somebody's going to give us a building somewhere downtown. There's tons of buildings that aren't even being used. Somebody may be listening today, and they may get, God may move on their heart, and but I'm believing that that will come to pass in the future.
I love it. So let's say someone here is moved by this message and wants to be a part of that vision and the plan. How can they be a part of that to get a hold of you guys?
Yes, they can call the church here at Life Fellowship Hurst. You can go on the internet, lifefellowshiphurst.org. We have a link to Building Bridges on our website. You can go on Building Bridges website. You can go on Facebook, Building Bridges, and you can look up various ways there to make contacts or donations to that. But volunteers are also, I mentioned donations, but volunteers are needed as well. You use your same manpower over and over, so it's nice to give people a break. And even if somebody can't do but one outreach a year, that takes the load off of somebody else.
I love it. And for those listening, the website is bblrc.com, and that stands for Building
Yes, sir.
Bridges Life Restoration Center. So
Yes, sir. That is correct.
BBLRC, and that's where people can go. And it's a beautiful site.
They
Like, read
can.
more about the ministry, about the mission,
They can.
really getting an understanding of the problem that they're solving and why it's important and how you can be a part of the solution.
Exactly. Exactly. And we really are trying. We're not trying to put a band-aid on something that's been done for years and years. We really do want to revitalize these people and just restore them, to where they can just be an active member of society
Mm,
and then be a blessing to someone else.
so good. I can't imagine that feeling of going from, feel like they have a part in society, then maybe the thought is, I no longer have a part, I'm homeless, and then getting that transformation to that opportunity again to
Yes,
be back a part of society and have so much hope back to them and getting
yes,
plugged into the church. I mean, that's a full transformation. That's incredible.
exactly,
So
exactly.
tell me, Mike, what are you told me a little bit about like the vision for fundraising. Do you have any other future plans or goals for the center?
Well, this we have actually just the first of this year just had the dream of having that center. So we are
Mm,
truly in the infancy stages of that. But I will tell you that what our desire for what that's gonna look like. You know, it's not just a building. We'll need full-time help. Somebody will have to man that building. You'll have to have a women's side and a men's side. There'll have to be meals cooked. So, we're talking about it. I mean, it'll be a big operation.
big operation.
If you house 10 people, if you can imagine uh, and week after week, it's quite an operation to pull that off. So that is the goal, is to have a full-time staff manning, that restoration center and discipleship home, and probably keep um, each attendant in there about 6 months and let them just get fully grounded before they set off. Because the system, really, the way it's set up now, it's not the best. Sometimes you just have to roll with what you got and do the best with what you got. So
Understand. Well, I commend you for what you guys are doing. You guys have big hearts and a big mission and solving a real problem. So all of you guys listening, if you're interested in learning more about this mission and this ministry, make sure to check out that website, the
yes,
bblrc.org. Um, and what would you say, Mike, if someone happens to know someone that might need help, know someone that is homeless, what would be the best path
yes.
for them?
Contact us. They can go on that website. Phone numbers on there as well. They can go on that website, contact us, and we will do anything we can to assist in that. And it's great to see people's lives transformed. Uh, and it happens every day. You'll have somebody that gets a job or gets their first vehicle, and there's really nothing like it. It's almost like Christmas time over and over. In my eyes, that's what I feel like anyway.
That's incredible. Is there anything else, Mike, that you didn't get a chance to share that you would like to share?
But no, I just want to thank any of your listeners. Thank you for listening today. Obviously, a ministry like this would not be possible without people giving.
Mm,
It would not be, and we really don't have but a few donors right now. When I say a few, probably five or less. We have, by the grace of God, been able to fund this thing, so far, and but I know that God has plans for us to take this to a different level.
I love it. And for listeners too, I just want to add, when you think about, how blessed that you are, the things that you have, part of living a blessed life and growing is giving and being generous,
Yes,
and
yes,
not just the spiritual blessings that come to you, but just being a person that lives in gratitude and generous
absolutely,
is incredible. Like what it does, this is the Think and Grow show, so it's all about growth, but how it
sure,
grows your influence in your life and everything around you. So if you're not used to giving, or that's a foreign concept, or being generous, again, like Mike said, it doesn't have to be a wildly outrageous thing that you can't afford, but sometimes
no,
just taking that first step and
yes,
helping out can not only make a big impact in someone else's life, but also can make an impact in your own life. And your identity becomes someone that is generous and someone that does give
amen.
at whatever amount that might be.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just be obedient to the Lord. If you've never given, take a step. And it opens the door really for God to bless your life. I preach this every week, but it really does open the door for God to bless your life. And you don't do it for that reason. But it's just a bonus.
Yeah.
It's a blessing to the kingdom, but it's a bonus that David said, this one thing I know. He said, the righteous will never be forsaken, and their
Mm,
children will never have to beg for bread. And I think that's interesting. He said, this one thing I know. And when you become a cheerful giver to the
mm,
kingdom, it opens the door for God to bless you in ways that you can't be blessed any other way.
reach it. I love it.
For
And
sure.
and Pastor Mike, I think you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong here. I think that's one of the only scriptures where there's a challenge where he says, "Test me in this." About
Yes,
I think
Malachi
that's
chapter 3,
there. You
test me
go.
now at this. Test me. It's not the same passage, but it is.
Yeah.
But listen, that's the only thing in the Bible that God actually says put him to the test on is giving.
Yeah.
There's nothing else in the Bible. He says, test me. But he said, on the matter of your money, test me and see what I will do.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you, once you start, it's really an incredible journey.
Amen. I love it. Well, Mike, thank you so much for being here on behalf of your church
Oh,
and
thank you for having us,
behalf of the
Brad.
organization. You are most welcome. And guys listening, I'm going to put just in show notes too. I'll have the link to his website. And if you guys want to take a step out in faith and do something bold and help this awesome cause out, do it. Just
Amen.
do it.
Thank you,
Like take
guys.
take that step. Yeah. So So, Mike, thanks for joining all of our listeners. We will catch you next time. This has been
Thank you.
Think and Grow Show.